Hello, hi, this is Paul Fan. Today I'm going to talk about the article by Scott Young. It's a pretty good article about 4-hour work day. It's not 4 hour per week day, but it's 4 hour daily work day. And what it's talk about is how to complete the full work day by noon. Okay, but that sounds impossible, right? But if you are travel and work in travel, you need to learn the skill how to complete all the stuff by noon time because I'm traveling right now, so this is very important for me. Sounds impossible, right? But on many days by 12 o'clock, I've been complete work. With been Scott's complete work that should normally take 8 hours. And I don't wake up at 4 a.m. to achieve this. Actually, finish everything by noon isn't difficult. If you add up all the time to spend procrastinating, distracted, or tired of work, and it would probably make up half of your day. If you're eliminating this wasting time, ending your day by noon just wouldn't be too hard. The problem, of course, is the actual elimination of all wasted times. Lots of productive advice looks like simplistic dieting advice, eat less. Unfortunately, cutting that wasted time is the tricky part. However, making the new simple changes in your approach, you can make it far easier to cut the fat. Don't pay yourself by the hour. If you work at something that start at 9 and to 5, you won't be able to finish everything by noon. When you evaluate yourself for time spending working rather than work completed, procrastination is often the result. If you read the headline for the article through that it was a scam, you probably suffer from the problem. Finishing by noon feel like cheating when you are supposed to put in an 8 hours a day. Unfortunately, it is an attitude that causes you to procrastinate and stretch work out to keep you occupied until 5 p.m. The solution is to stop paying yourself by the hour. Surely you may continue to pay your client by the hour, or your boss may continue to pay you by the wage and expect you to stay in the office till 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. But that doesn't mean that you need to pay yourself that way. If you work completion over input time, you will have a lean schedule. In knowledge work time, input isn't a point. As a writer, programmer, or engineer, your value comes from your output. The end customer does not care how much hour you spend behind the desk and Facebook, Twitter, etc. Fortunately, your output will be what counts for your boss, client, and the customer. If you work at home, never working 9 to 5. Period. If you are in a typical office environment that reward punctuality over performance, it will be hard to get your workday in before noon. Tim Ferriss in the book 4 Hours Work Week has some great suggestions for taking your boss into letting you work less if you are more productive. Incorporate policy change you to your desk until you, uh, late afternoon. I would suggest you check out his book. However, if you work at home, you have no excuses. Scheduling an 8 hour workday is wasting precious hours from your life. If you change how you evaluate your effort, finishing 8 hours of work in 3 to 4 hours is probable. You might even be able to increase your total input while reducing the amount of your work. Some people, however, don't get it. I had a friend who owned an online business. He told me that he has been working over 10 hours each day on a new project. He said this without exaggeration, and I would say he honestly believed he was working at every possible moment. However, even by judging his online activity, I know some things was wrong. He still has time to write long form posts online and write lengthy email. He made the mistake of judging his productivity by the amount of effort he was putting in instead of result. Although it would have been less sympathetic if he only worked 5 ultra-productive hours and rested for the rest of the day, he would have been more successful and less stressed. How to pay yourself for work finish. I have a few productivity tricks I use to help remind myself of the pay for completion approach. The first I call the weekly daily goal. A weekly daily goal is important. This is the core of my productive system and is the key attack method to finish a 4 days work by noon. The idea is simple. At every point in the day, you keep two lists. The first list scores every task you need to complete that day. The second list scores every task you need to complete that week. When you have finished all the tasks on your daily goal list, you are done. If you happen at the 11 a.m., then 11 a.m., then congratulate yourself and go have a beer, coffee, tea, chai, nap, whatever. If that happened at 9 p.m., then put another pot of coffee and keep working. Your day ends when your work ends. This sounds obvious, but it is not how most people work. It is far more common to see someone finish at 11 a.m. and then start working another task, or after reaching 6 or 7 p.m. in the evening, they give up and call it a day. Instead of pay for completion, most people try to fit in 8 hours. When they finish early, they add more. When they finish later than planned, they quit. Pay for completion is easy to approach, but the pay for time is more frequent practice. Keeping a list of daily goals put only your work between you and relaxation instead of some arbitrary amount of time for the day. Not a minimum amount of effort, just your most important task separate you and the finish line. This creates an incredible amount of motivation to cut distraction and keep the focus. But you can add more work. Why you cannot add? If you finish early, instinct will be to add more work. Unfortunately, you need to resist this urge strongly. The consequence of adding more work is that it defeats your system. The weekly daily goal system functions because you can add more work. Imagine you are racing in 400 miles race. If you pace yourself correctly, you should be completely exhausted by the end of the race. You will run as fast as you can to within 400 meters. Now imagine you are running 400-meter race, but as you cross the finish line, your coach yell at you to run another 200 meters. If your coach did this frequently, you might start practicing your race to leave a bit of extra running energy for the end of your run, just in case you are asked to run further. The weekly daily goal system function like 400-meter race. If you keep adding on 200 meter whatever you finish quickly, you are going to defeat the system. Instead of pacing your focus and energy to complete a particular set of tasks, you are back to infinite to-do list and 10 hours more of workday. Collaborating your weekly and daily goal. My productivity triple when I start setting daily goal. But the disadvantage of the system is irregularity. Some day will be light because you accidentally under schedule, and other day will be incredibly hard because you accidentally overschedule. So solution to the irregularity isn't to give up and go back to an unproductive pay per hour system. You simply need to collaborate yourself to the amount of work involved. As with anything else in life, you get better with practice and awareness. So that's actually part one of today's 4-hour workday. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the second part and more tick and trick information about 4 hours workday, and that's very important if you travel and work or you work at home. Thank you so much for watching this video, and you have a very blessed day. Bye bye.